Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel for a quick Easter update on Bitcoin, new data, what Solana is doing right now, how I'm trading this. Let's dive right in. Before we talk about the charts, I want to start off on the Bitcoin balances on exchanges because right now you can see as per this cycle they are coming down to new lows. At the start of January, they were sitting around about 2.7 million, right now sitting at 2.18 million. So 2.18 divided by what they were at the start of the year. We can see we're about 80% of the Bitcoin on exchanges that we were at the start of January. So this is looking good. Obviously, this has an inverse correlation to the price. The more Bitcoin they take off exchanges, then the less liquidity there is. The more that people buy on exchanges, then the more the price has to reach higher levels to fulfill that. So looking really good over here. Also, just quick note as well, total hash rate hitting new cycle highs for this cycle in the past week or so has a positive correlation with the price. So just those two basic factors are looking quite good right now. So let's dive into a quick setup on what's happening over on the 1 hour time frame. Now, I'm going to contradict what I'm saying in just 1 second because over on the 1 hour time frame, you can see Bitcoin was actually forming a diamond top formation, which typically after a large rally to the upside is a sign of exhaustion, a sign of a potential reversal coming in. I haven't talked about this on the channel. This isn't something that I necessarily thought was going to break down whatsoever. And what I actually want to point out on this, which is also coming into contact with this, you can see over on the 4 hour time frame, we do have a bull flag. Now, you may have noticed if you've been kind of watching this channel in this cycle and the past couple of years or so, is that I don't really talk about these technical analysis patterns at all because they used to work and now they don't really work. Bitcoin has so many fake outs. What we've been focusing on has been this daily chart over here. We've been focusing about the middle of the range, where all the volume is, where the moving averages are, where the 50 TMA is. That's what we've been talking about, is kind of a level of importance. And the reason why we've been looking at this so much is because Bitcoin has so many fake outs that I literally just do not talk about technical analysis patterns because 90% of the time they don't work. You can see we're trading in a range. It used to be a thing. I remember I used to do this as well because it used to work in prior cycles. People would have this saying where, let's say Bitcoin, its all-time high was 100K, and then people would say you want a longer breakout. So if Bitcoin goes to, $100,010, you would long that because you always long breakouts. But in this market, it doesn't work. You can see we've been ranging. If you shorted the breakdown, you got wrecked. If you longed the breakup, you got wrecked. You basically get wrecked on all of these breakout trades and technical analysis patterns nowadays because 90% of them don't work. They're basically there to kind of sucker retail into giving market makers their liquidity at important levels that retail's not keeping their eyes on. So just want to kind of put this into context and just show you what's kind of really going on with this. But it is obviously positive if we do see a pattern and we break to the upside. Even if, in my opinion, these patterns don't have super significance, they're not particularly what I'm looking at. I see a lot of people currently kind of in my Discord and Twitter talking about the bull flag right now, which in my opinion, I'm just looking at this as this is nice market structure. We've had a nice rally to the upside, and the past day or so, we've obviously seen kind of a nice move up. But in my opinion, I'm just looking at this market structure. I look at this as a range after a move up, which is just some consolidation rather than we need to break above this and get a confirmed retest, or if we break beneath this then we're doomed, because if we break beneath this, the kind of most plausible scenario is something like this, and I also wouldn't be surprised if we broke above this, made a higher low, and then break out. So I just want to kind of share with you some insights that I have. I personally don't really look at these TA patterns, but just wanted to share them with you anyway. 4 hour time frame, Bitcoin is still within the range, but and of course we got the daily breakout, really clear, concise downtrending line of resistance. Again, I don't trade these as much as the next guy. I don't take kind of long breakouts on these patterns or trend lines, but this is kind of my bread and butter, what I've been looking at. The ranges, looking at market structure, kind of comparing what's happening in the greater economy and where I think kind of good support and resistance levels are. I think honestly, textbook bread and butter without all the kind of TA technical patterns is pretty much what has worked for me the best in the cycle. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. I'm just going to keep on trading the way that I've been trading because this has been making me shit tons of money this cycle. So daily time frame, what we've been talking about, if I just clear this up for you, just so I can really emphasize what we've been talking about on the channel, is the 50 TMA. Now, for the past week, it hasn't really been a video. I've kind of been telling you to watch this level. And to be honest, nothing's transpired, so there was no need for a daily update. But we've been fighting with the TMA. And in the past 3 days, we pumped above it, got a solid back test on it, got a back test on the VPVR where all the volume is in the market. And it looks like we're having an impulse today with a green, red, green formation. I think things are looking really good right now. Obviously, S&P 500 wasn't trading yesterday on Friday because of Good Friday. Bitcoin was able to move up because of that. We got the weekend. I don't believe US stock markets are open on Monday. I don't believe that the UK markets are because we have another holiday. However, I know the S&P 500 is back on Monday, so that's something we'll keep our eyes on. Probably make a update early next week. Anyway, we're above the 50 TMA. This is the long signal that we needed to see. And as you know, if you watch this channel, I don't trade Bitcoin. I use Bitcoin to gauge the greater market structure so I can trade Solana. So we'll talk about what I'm currently trading in 1 second. But we're seeing everything we needed to see. Like lower time frames, yeah, we're kind of in that accumulation right now. We're still kind of lollygagging. But I think we're at the cusp of a really, really nice breakout. Nothing's really changed price target wise. I think 90k, between 88 and 90k is where Bitcoin's going to be looking at next. There is some kind of solid resistance above there. So I would love to see us get kind of a solid punch above this level. And once again, I'm not talking about getting kind of $10 above and then doing a long instantly. Like we've seen with this range, you know, this was the heartline of the range. We wanted to see this accumulation here and then push up higher, regardless of kind of TA patterns. And I think we're kind of getting ready. I think we're getting pending for this, something like this at this moment in time. So I've got my eyes on 90k. Before we talk about what that kind of means for Solana, let me pull this over to the Solana side of the video. It is also important to note that the M2 money supply is basically at the cusp of making new all-time highs. It's hard to see in this chart over here, but if we come over to the Fred M2, basically the prior all-time high, April 2022, 21,750. We're now at 21,671, and we haven't had the March reading yet. So I think M2 is about to break up into new all-time highs. That's going to mean more liquidity. And, you know, this is just really a good indicator for kind of how Bitcoin and the rest of the markets moves. It moves with the M2. I think a lot of people have this really weird, retarded misconception that Bitcoin is uncorrelated to tech stocks. It's uncorrelated to gold and global liquidity and all these things. It just moves with the rest of the markets. Like in the future, could be different. But basically what we've been seeing is M2 moves up, Bitcoin moves up. M2 starts coming down, Bitcoin starts coming down. M2 starts coming up, and again, it's really, really hard to see unless I absolutely zoom in on this one. But, you know, Bitcoin basically just follows what the M2 is doing. If the M2 didn't bottom round about here, then Bitcoin probably would have come back down for one final low. So it's a good sign that we're seeing kind of liquidity coming up, and we, you know, not any major news has happened since our last video. Some good conversations between Trump and China, the potential that Jerome Powell will get fired. I think we're looking at 90k, and we're looking at one good news event away from Jerome Powell getting fired, or kind of good conversations with China that could take us up to these levels and really kind of bring confidence back in the market. Because right now, there's still a lot of fear in the markets. You know, fear correlating to mainly the S&P 500. Like Bitcoin's had a nice rally, but it has been following what the S&P 500 is doing, and it is showing strength against the S&P 500 right now. But they can have temporary decorrelations. But then if the S&P 500 just decides to have an absolute Hitler candle back down to the lows, then Bitcoin's not going to decorrelate from these macro moves. So the important thing to note, we had a strong recovery on the S&P 500 the prior week. This week, we've kind of come back down, and we're sitting at a level where there is a huge amount of liquidity in the market, kind of right around here. If I drag this up to kind of this most important cluster of liquidity, some important touch points around here, you can see the S&P 500 has kind of managed to close around this level after coming back and back testing its prior all-time high. So again, we're kind of one good news event away from kind of pulling back and kind of regaining all the losses that we've made in this correction. again, it can be something simple like Jerome Powell getting fired. It can be CPI getting lowered. And yeah, I know Trump doesn't technically have the power to fire Jerome Powell. That comes down to Congress, but I wouldn't underestimate kind of the ability of Trump to maneuver around these systems. So anyway, I'll keep you up to date with the news. If you've been enjoying the video so far, make sure to smash a like, leave a comment. In terms of if you want to keep up with the important news, I literally repost anything that is important over on my Twitter. So if you can't be bothered to kind of keep up with all the news yourself, follow me over on Twitter at 618_cowboy. I'll reshare or post about kind of anything that's important or worth noting that could have an effect on the market. So we're waiting right now. Bitcoin's still technically in a little bit of a sideways chop for the past week or so, but I think things are looking up. We've got some solid closes above the 50 TMA. It looks like we're trying to impulse higher. So what does this mean for Solana? Well, macro Solana's in a really good position right now. Like we talked about only kind of 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were very, very basically highlighting the fact that on the higher time frames on the weekly, Solana has some of the most disgusting expansions to the upside, and it has some of the most terrifying corrections to the downside. And people often kind of negate the fact that, you know, Solana is not so kind of sideways choppy. It's very much up and down when you're looking at the weekly time frame. It's way, way more volatile than Bitcoin. It's just based on kind of calculations when I'm trading. I see Bitcoin goes up 1% on good news. Solana goes up 3-4%. So that's personally why I trade it. It's just a lot easier for me to trade. But yeah, you can see these corrections, while they don't look like that much, these are kind of 70%, 60%, 60%, 60% corrections. And we're getting back in that expansion territory, just like we said. So I don't think a lot of people kind of 1 week ago when Solana was trading at $94 would be kind of thinking that Solana would be all the way up, kind of retouching $140. But Solana moves super, super fast. So when I talk about kind of what I'm looking next, I think $150 is right around the corner. You can see, you know, this is mainly the range that we've been trading in, but we do have kind of highs up here around about 147. So I wouldn't be surprised, given kind of how many fake outs we have. Once again, we do something like 150, kind of come back down to an arbitrary non-existent support. Maybe it's a fib at that point, who knows? And then start pushing up to some of the higher price targets. So 150 is right around the corner for myself. That's what I'm currently trading off. If you don't know, I don't really talk about my trades too much or post them over on YouTube. The reason being is because I either post them over on Twitter or I post them in the Discord. Like yesterday, you can see this setup here, $135. We were talking about this, and you can see this morning, woke up from 18x leverage, only a $5 move, but up about 70% at this moment in time. It's impossible for me to talk about this on YouTube because I make trades on Solana on the 5-minute and 15-minute time frame. So if I'm making a trade on the 5-minute time frame, I long, I post it in Discord, I record a video, I edit it, I upload it, create a thumbnail. By the time it's up, you've missed the trade. So make sure you come and join the Discord. Link to that is always in the bio. Make sure you follow me over on Twitter if you want to see trade setups, ideas, all the important news. Anything that's important that happens outside of these videos happens on those 2 platforms. So if you're in the Discord, if you follow me over on Twitter, and you've got notifications turned on for YouTube, and of course you smash like and comment on the videos, then you've ticked off all the bases for kind of what I'm doing in these markets and how I'm leverage trading, how I'm making money on Solana right now, because it's been a pretty good past week for leverage trading. So I'm going to start posting a little bit more in the Discord. But anyway, going off on a tangent, Solana looks really, really good right now. Higher time frames, I think we're ready for kind of a knee-jerk up. Weekly time frame stochastic has been completely reset. So when I say $150, when I say $160, and also there was one chart I wanted to show you. If we come over to the daily over here, if you're looking at kind of the next levels again, 160, and then anything that we've got between here is kind of butter. So my price targets that I'm currently looking at right now is 150. I think that's going to happen. It could happen over the weekend, or it could happen in a week. Either way, 150, 160, 618 fib up here at 220, and then I think we're going to break the all-time high, go to $300, and much, much higher for the rest of this cycle. So that's currently what I'm trading off right now. Do I recommend that you long now? No. If you were longing back down here with me on the breakout, that's pretty good. I think stop losses kind of below the bottom of this range, or below kind of these few kind of wicks here while we're in the uptrend, it is probably like a good setup. Also, something important to note, obviously daily time frame broken from the downtrending line of resistance, just like Bitcoin has, but over on the UK markets, Solana has reclaimed the £100 mark. I was about to say $100. I don't even trade in pounds, I trade in dollars, but a lot of people in the UK are quite crypto heavy, so this is a important level for people in the UK, which is just going to add a little bit more confidence back in the markets. Not as important as kind of $100 level for Solana, or etc., but no, this is just an extra point that you should keep your eyes on. So I think we're in expansion territory. Bear in mind again, Bitcoin, I want to see kind of more convincing impulses above the 50 TMA, but at least kind of what we're doing right now, I think everything's setting up for a 90k retest coming in the next week or so. So that's pretty much all I've got for you today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoy your Easter. Again, if you enjoyed the video, smash like, leave a comment, cover off all bases. Come and follow me over on Twitter. Come and join the Discord. Be part of the community. And yeah, get these extra trades to make some extra money while we are in the bull cycle, because eventually the music is going to stop playing, and if you're not making money throughout this cycle and taking profit at the right regions, then you're going to be left without a chair, and you're probably going to be fucked. So anyway, all I've got for you today. Enjoy your Easter. See you in the next one. Peace.